Morning, everybody, and welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing for Tuesday, the 5th of September. I'm Derek Clark, and I'm joined this morning by our new signing, the one and only Chris Jack joins us. How are we doing, Chris?
Not too bad, Derek. Not bad. I've been moonlighting on these shows for some time, so I thought it was time to just come and join you boys permanently.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant to have you on board on a full-time basis. Folks, Chris will be writing exclusively now for the Rangers Review, so it's brilliant to have him on board. He'll be making more appearances on the morning briefing as well, so it's absolutely fantastic. If you've not seen the signing announcement video on Twitter, then do go and check it out. It could be an actor, Chris. That was very good acting, I thought.
It's all in the production skills, so I'll give Johnny the credit for it. I just followed his lead.
Yeah, he thinks he's Quentin Tarantino, I think, Johnny. But yeah, fantastic stuff. Great to have Chris on board full time. And it coincides with a deal we've got on the website just now, folks. You'll see in the description below. We're offering a full year's worth of exclusive content, access to the Rangers Review site for just £12 for an entire year. We're practically giving it away. It's a flash sale to celebrate the launch of our app, and that can also be downloaded free of charge on Apple or Google Play. And again, the links, if you need them, are in the description box, or just go to the App Store, wherever you get your apps, and get it downloaded. Hearing great things already. If you have downloaded it, folks, let us know what you make of it so far. But yeah, it's been a long time coming. We've been wanting an app for, I think, since the day we launched, so it's great to have it here eventually. Right, let's talk Rangers, Chris, because that's why people are tuning in. Plenty to talk about and stew over for the next just under a fortnight after what we witnessed on Sunday. Just get your views on that first of all. There's been a lot of talk, it's fair to say a lot of noise regarding the manager and whether he's the right man to lead Rangers forward after failing in another big game. I think the reaction at the end of the game spoke 1,000 words, I think. What did you make of it all?
Like I said to you when I was on, I think it was last Friday, Derek, and you asked me about Eindhoven. I said, do we have to talk about Eindhoven? Here we are a couple of days later. Do we have to talk about Celtic? It was just a really, really poor day all round for Rangers. The players didn't perform. The manager got it wrong. As you say, the reaction at the end spoke volumes about the mood of the support, and a season that had so much optimism and so much excitement and the new signings, and everybody really thought this was going to be the season where Rangers could get number 56. 4 games in, 4 points behind, barely put a performance together over a half, never mind over 90 minutes. And Rangers go into this international break with a lot of questions, a lot of doubts, a lot of improvement to be found. In the first couple of weeks after the restart, starting up with that game at St Johnstone. Now the couple of weeks after that, both domestically and in Europe, doesn't just shape the season, it shapes Michael Beale's future as Rangers manager now.
Yeah, it certainly does. Listen, I said yesterday, I don't have much faith that he can lead the club to 56 on what's been presented so far this season. I was one that said that he will be judged this season for me. He's formed his own team. He's brought in his own players. He will be judged. And at the moment, in this point in time, what has been served up is simply not good enough for a team like Rangers, I'm afraid. Another big talking point from yesterday, Chris, the Kemar Roof goal that was disallowed against Celtic. Rangers have contacted the SFA to demand answers. They're reaching out to the head of referee operations, Crawford Allen, to look for a response over his team of officials' decision-making process during the incident. Got to say, we've seen a number of pundits have their say on it. Dermot Gallagher, the former Premier League referee, said it was never a foul either. What was your take on it, Chris?
I didn't think it was a foul at the time. When I watched it back alongside the guys on the gantry on the Sky footage, I didn't think it was a foul then. Having seen it numerous times in the couple of days since, I still don't think it's a foul. But ultimately, the decision was made on the day. It probably cost Rangers the the 3 points on the day, because I think if they had gone ahead, I would have found it very surprising Celtic would come back into the game, because as we've all said since, it was not a great Celtic team that played at the weekend. It was an understrength side. It was a side that was there for the beating. And if Rangers had gone ahead, I don't think Celtic would have come back into the game. So a hugely significant moment in the game. It doesn't overshadow how poor a Rangers performance it was. It doesn't offer any excuses, but it was a key moment. It's a key moment that's gone against Rangers, and I think they're quite right to ask for answers and to make their feelings clear on it. Ultimately, it's not going to change anything. Will it change things going forward? Probably not, because the VAR system's in place and they're also working to the rules and regulations that are there and the ways of working that are there. So it's not going to change anything. But I think Rangers are quite right just to make their point and to ask for a bit of clarification on it. And it's something that we see almost on a weekly basis down south. Now, yeah, you see managers and you see clubs going to the PGMOL to ask for answers on these. So, grand scheme of things, doesn't really matter. Doesn't change an awful lot. But I think Rangers are quite right just to keep on the case for a couple of days and see what comes back from the SFA.
Yeah, it wasn't a clear and obvious error. What's your? I mean, you mentioned there that down south they have problems with VAR every single week. I remember when it was first introduced and it was meant to be this great thing. There wouldn't be any debates after games in pubs and what have you, but it's been the exact opposite. And in Scotland, Chris, is it a case of, are you happy with VAR, how it's been implemented, or are we using it wrong, do you reckon?
I think it's one of the great debates. Now, we had these debates before it was introduced, and there were people that were dead against it. There were people that were all for it. And I think the majority of people were in the middle, thinking it will clear up some decisions. In some instances, it'll make some decisions better. It will overrule bad decisions at some point. But you then get ones like the weekend, and it just causes more confusion than was ever possible. If the system wasn't in place, the referee's decision would have stood. Rangers would have got the goal. Michael Beale would have been asked about it and said it was a fair challenge. Brendan Rodgers would have been asked about it and said, I think it's probably a foul, I'm assuming. And that's how that situation would have unfolded. The fans would have had debates for a couple of weeks, and that would have been it. Instances like this, well, the system's in place and well, it's been used in the way it's used, instances like this are going to come up more often than not. Ultimately, we've gone down the path of the clubs wanted the technology, managers and players wanted it, a lot of fans wanted it. It's very hard to reverse it now. I don't see how Scottish football gets itself out of VAR when the pattern across European and world football is for more and more technology to be used. So I think it's something that it's definitely here to stay. People, whether they love it or hate it, just going to have to accept that it's here to stay. But I do think there's ways of it being operated slightly better. And instances like the weekend show that.
Yeah, absolutely. Magic Robot Man says, waste of time contacting the SFA, just gives the SFA another excuse to stick the boot in, he says. It'll be interesting to hear what the response is. I'd imagine we'll get, should be today, I'd imagine Rangers contact the SFA yesterday. Let's get to a few comments that are coming in. Point here, just back to the app. Now, a number of you are getting in touch. Jason Meikle, morning Derek, I'm a subscriber, but get sent a login link when I log into the website. How does this work with the new app? Thanks. Jason, if you can DM us either on Twitter or Facebook. I know you're on Facebook. If you messages on there, we'll get that sorted for you. And Scott D also, he just signed up to the £12 for 12 months deal. Thank you very much, buddy, but can't log in via the new app. Any help? If you contact us, like I mentioned to Jason there, via Twitter or Facebook, or email us, we'll get that sorted for you, Scott. Graham Morrison says, went to work yesterday, scunnered. How much longer have we to suffer? Had enough. That seems to be the consensus of many supporters, Chris, that we speak to at this moment in time. As I mentioned, the reaction at Ibrox was one of the angriest I think we've experienced in quite some time. How does Michael Beale turn this around? Can he turn this around?
I think the only way he turns it around is by being all but point perfect between now and the Old Firm game at the end of December, qualifying from the Europa League group, top of it or very close to the top of it, and winning the League Cup. If all those things are achieved, I think Michael Beale is Rangers manager heading into the new year. If any of those things are not achieved, I think it becomes really difficult for him. as you say, Derek, the reaction at the weekend, I think, spoke volumes. The guy there says scunnered. Scunner's probably the best word for it, because everybody got themselves built up, and it's building yourself up time and time again, and then being let down time and time again by some of the same players, some of the same decisions being made. And it's just Rangers just in this cycle now of making bad decisions, players not living up to expectations, not being able to move players on, you guys coming in, money being spent, but the club or the team, not really progressing in the manner that we all hope it would do. So I think, as I say, I think those things Michael laid out a couple of weeks ago. He wanted to go into this international break and qualify for the Champions League, top of the Premiership, and in the next round of the League Cup, beating Morton to achieve one of those three aims. That's just not acceptable. If they'd beaten Celtic at the weekend, maybe I've taken some of the sting out of the PSV game, but I think we combine the manner of the PSV defeat, how the team capitulated in that last 15-20 minutes or so, you then follow that up, not just with an old firm defeat, but the manner of it and the performance being so lacklustre, not just from the players, but I think there's a lot of questions over the manager and what he was trying to do as well. It just all feeds into that feeling that the fans have got of, here we go again, are we getting into September like we did last year, and you're writing off another Premiership campaign. So I say that those first couple of weeks after the break are really, really important for Rangers. We need to see a real upturn in performances, certainly in results, and if somehow they can tick those boxes, they can progress in Europe, win the League Cup, and go into the Old Firm game at Parkhead having not really dropped anything else, no worse than 4 points behind, you've maybe got a wee crack at it heading into the second half of the season. Anything apart from that, I think those months after that Old Firm game just become a real slog once again, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm concerned given the fact we've lost 50% of our opening league games that Rangers can go on a run like you say, Chris, and many supporters have that same view at this moment in time, that there is differing views. Of course, it is all about opinions. William Burns says, good morning, folks. Hit the like button. Thank you very much, William. Welcome, Chris. Great to have you on board. Alex Ferguson was in a shaky peg at Man United, but was given time, and look at what he achieved. I don't think Michael Beale is any way, shape or form Alex Ferguson, but I get your point. Alex was heading for the exit door ironically, he did win the League Cup against Crystal Palace, I'm sure it was, and then he went on and achieved untold success at Old Trafford. Curry Muncher says, factor 5,000 on the shelf, Derek. It absolutely is, buddy. It's sweltering down here. It was 27 degrees yesterday. The sun is shining already. It's beaming through my window. What's it like up there, Chris?
It's very nice up here as well, so I've got a bit of work to do later on. I think I'll do the school run by foot later on and walk down, get a bit of exercise, and get a bit of sun in the coupon as well.
Yeah, it's a bit of an Indian summer. Lots of interesting points coming in. Jim McCarroll raising the point on the disallowed goal. He says Roof's disallowed goal shouldn't be used as an excuse for how badly we played against their under-strength side. It's hard to disagree with any of that. And this is an interesting one we put to you, Chris. Paul Blackwood. We are actually a weaker team this season than last season. Is that a fair comment at this moment in time, do you reckon?
I think 4 games in, it's probably too early to judge it. I know the signings haven't been impressive in terms of hitting the ground running, apart from Jack Butland. I think he played well again at the weekend, and he certainly stands head and shoulders above everybody else in terms of how he started his Rangers career. I think you need to give these guys a bit more time to judge if they are an improvement on what was there last year. I think if you look at the team that started in Eindhoven, the team that started again at Celtic, it's not, yes, there are problems with the new players in terms of how they're playing, but it's the faith that the manager's still putting in a lot of last season's players. Normally, three summer signings started at the weekend. Obviously, one Butland. Sterling only played because Barisic was injured and Yilmaz isn't up to speed. Dessers, it could easily have been Danilo that played instead of him. And I think if you look at Tav, you look at Goldson, you look at Suter, you look at Barisic, you look at Ryan Jack, even Cantwell and Raskin, it's guys from last season. I think we need more from these type of players as well. And the manager's put a lot of faith in, for example, Barisic and Tav as the fullbacks. They're not the Barisic and Tav of the 55 season when Michael Beale was here before. They're a couple of years older. They're naturally bit slower. Age takes its toll on every player. So he's putting a lot of faith in guys that he knows and that he trusts. He's done that in terms of signings. Not looking at guys like Sterling that he's worked with before. He's put a lot of faith in these guys. The players have to repay that at some point. But you do just wonder if it's not just the new signings that are the problem, it's some of the old guard that are the problem as well, because we need to see more from the guys that should have been over the course and distance, the guys that know the score, the guys that know the club, that know the expectations. I think we're right to demand a wee bit more from these type of players as well.
Yeah, I totally agree at this moment in time. And even the likes of Cantwell and Raskin coming in for criticism are nowhere near the level that we're playing at the tail end of last season. Just on Cantwell, incidentally, Aldo raising the point. And using Cantwell off the brace he has on, same one Stone Cold War in WWE. It looked like he was wearing a brace. Incidentally, if you're filming opposition players and trying to get a rise out of them in public places, you are the lowest of the low. So I don't understand why guys do that. Fully grown adults as well that do it just for social media likes. It's a bang out of order. But it did look like Cantwell had a brace on. Chris, he did take a sore one. He was down for a period of time on Sunday. Let's hope it's not too serious with regards to that. He was walking through the duty-free rather well, I think, but I guess that'd just be precautionary sticking that brace on his leg.
Not heard any update on how Todd is after the game. Also, I don't think the manager was even asked about it post-match. There's also bigger issues at play in terms of his press conference. We'll try and find out over the next couple of days if there's anything there. But hopefully, it's, as I said, Eric, hopefully it's nothing serious, because if you end up losing Cantwell for a period of time on the back of that Old Firm defeat, it just puts the tin lid on it in terms of how bad a day it was for Rangers. So, fingers crossed he's okay, and we also do now have this fortnight break. So if it's just a knock and just a precaution, which hopefully it is, hopefully we'll see him in the St Johnstone game in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, let's hope so. Arthur raising a point just on Michael Beale and whether he can turn it around. He says 4 points is catchable after the international break. Last chance for Beale to get it right and get his best 11. That's a point me and Joshua discussed yesterday, Chris. It's been a different 11 for the opening 9 games of the season. That tells me he doesn't know what his best team is.
I think it's quite hard to decipher what Rangers' best team is right now. I think if you asked like 10 fans now who's your 11, I don't think you get many picking the exact same lineup right now, because there's just a number of guys who some you're not really sure. Like Danilo, I spoke to a couple of boys about this at the weekend. I'm not really sure what he is and what his best position is and how he fits into the side. You look at Matondo, has come from nowhere but still has the same feelings in his game. Sima has shown flashes like he did it against PSV, but then very little else. I think it's difficult to actually pinpoint who the best players for each position are. And in a bigger sense, it's hard to pinpoint what Michael Beale's actually trying to do with the team. I think if you look at how they played against Celtic, a lot of talk about how McGregor was allowed to basically have the freedom of Ibrox to roll that game. The manager spoke post-match about how he wanted the back four to push up to help the press. You're not going to press from the front with Dessers and Roof. If you're going to do that, you needed a Matondo to be more central, or you needed Sima just to shuttle between the centre-backs, because the centre-backs showed when you put them under pressure, they could make mistakes. Yes, the Dessers one ended up being a foul, but Lagerbielke showed that if you put him under pressure, he's liable to make a mistake, and Rangers didn't do that often enough. And I think the way the team was set up, they were never going to do that often enough. So I think that's one of the problems that Michael has to solve. Again, he spoke post-match about having this fortnight to work on the training ground and trying to get some of these problems out of the system. I think he has to decide what he wants the team to look like, and then find the best players to fit that position. Because at the minute, it's square pegs and round holes at sometimes. And there's a feeling again on Sunday, making the substitutions didn't really influence the game. Didn't change the style from what had gone before. It just felt like, well, I'll put him on, and you're just hoping for somebody to go and do something extraordinary. You're hoping for a moment of magic from an individual, rather than here's the team that's going to go and beat Celtic. And I think that was a real failing of the side on Sunday.
Yeah. I can't disagree with much of that, to be honest. Callum Morris with a point here. He says, not sure how the fans are supposed to trust Beale's new signings if Beale doesn't trust them himself. Sign 9 players just to play 3. And that, I think that's echoed by many supporters. I'd like to get your take on this, Chris, and I've seen it mentioned particularly on social media, more so after Sunday. Tam Brown with a point. We need a director of football before we can even think about a new manager. It's one that I remember James Bisgrove did touch on in that fans forum earlier on in the season. Did say to me when I was at Orsa as well that they were looking to speak to some people with regards to that. However, at this moment in time, Rangers do not have a director of football or a sporting director, whatever you like to call it. Is it high time the club got one in?
It was something myself, Johnny, and Stevie actually spoke about on Friday night on the transfer show, and we spoke about the importance of having someone in that role. But they came mood in the last wee while. I know James Biscoe spoke at the launch of the museum a couple of weeks ago, and he said, "Look, we're still looking. They're speaking to people. They're assessing how they want that role to look." But the other option on the table is just to stick with the status quo in terms of the structure that they've got. I don't think they would make any rash decisions on the back of Sunday and say, "Look, we've lost to Celtic, therefore we have to get one." Or on the flip side, if things have been going well, say, "Look, we're actually 4 points ahead of Celtic. We don't need a direct football. That's a position and a wage saved." I think the board have to decide what they want the football structure to actually look like. Personally, I think the director of football is a good role. I think it's a position that needs filled. It gives the board that go between boardroom businessmen and directors and the chairman and the football department. I think the role should be tweaked slightly, so you don't have as much emphasis on transfers and signing and selling players. I think that's something that Rangers have been looking at in terms of redefining how that role would operate. So you give the director of football full remit over the academy, over the women's team, over sports science, over the medical department, over changes to the infrastructure at Auchenhowie and at Ibrox. All those other aspects of the club are the director of football's remit. And he then decides how those areas operate. The first team and the signings to get into the first team, they have to be on the head of the manager, just like they have been over the course of the summer. So I would hope that Rangers do go down that route again. So I think it's a worthwhile avenue. I think it's a position that should be filled. And I know they have been speaking to people and sounding out various individuals just on how that could work. But you don't really want to be looking for a director of football and a new manager at the same time. That's not a good position to find yourself in.
No, it is not. And I know, I did watch you, Stevie, and Johnny talk about it at great length on the transfer show that there was 0 transfers to talk about, so we were deviating slightly. But some comments coming in, and I know this guy was discussed, and I think he's just out of the pond, shall we say, that Rangers are fishing in, Chris. The People's Champ says, "Can we get Davey Weir in?" Of course, at Brighton, doing great things. I don't think Davey Weir is going to be coming back to Ibrox anytime soon, do you?
No, I can, again, as we said on Friday, I can fully understand the attraction for the fans of wanting to get Davey in. You look at his great association with the club. You look at the job that he's doing at Brighton, the success that Brighton have had in the transfer market and on the pitch the last couple of seasons has been remarkable. So I can see the attraction. But I know one of the things that the club identified when they started looking at this director of football position, it doesn't have to be someone that's got a prior affiliation with the club.
Yeah.
I think the natural thing for the fans is, right, get Davey Weir, or let's get a Rangers man, let's get Souness in, let's get someone that knows the club and understands it. For that type of position, that's not a prerequisite. You don't have to understand the fans and don't have to understand the club at that level to do that job properly. You have to have the best knowledge and the best field of, as I say, sports science, academy, the women's side, medical, scouting network. If you have expertise and contacts and ideas in all of those areas, the fact that you never played for the club makes no difference whatsoever. So I can see the attraction. I can see if the fans are going to draw up a list, guys that do have that previous association with the club will naturally be top of it. But as far as I understand, that's not how the club are seeing it. That's not how they've ever viewed that position. And it doesn't have to be someone who played or managed or was a boyhood fan that's going to come in. You just need best in class and you need the best person for that particular role.
Yeah, you certainly do. And I think I'd like to see a director of football come in at some point, but like you say, Chris, it's not an ideal situation if Rangers are looking for a new manager and a director of football. But Michael Beale, very much still the Rangers manager at this point in time. Other news yesterday, a former Rangers player has finally found a new club in Alfredo Morelos. Colin Johnston says Morelos gone to Santos in Brazil. Incidentally, I think that's a brilliant move for him. No, Santos are struggling at the moment, but they're a worldwide historical club, one of the biggest names in world football. So I think he's one to watch there, Alfredo. He's actually reflected on his time in Glasgow. He posted a message on his social media account. I'll read you it quickly, folks. He says, "Rangers, my dear soulful team, I want to say the time has come to close an unforgettable chapter in my life. Over the past 6 years, I have experienced intense emotions and achieved incredible goals and built incredible memories with you. We won a league together, celebrated every victory as a family, and overcame obstacles with determination and courage. Every time I wore this jersey, I did it with pride and gratitude. During this time, I not only grew as a player, but also as a person. Watching my daughter grow while wearing those colours has been an incredible gift. The unity and support from all of you every step of the way has inspired me to give my best on and off the field. Reach a Europa League final was a dream come true. The journey was tough, but every sacrifice was worth it. Together, we showed that we are a formidable club and we will always fight with heart. To the teammates who became brothers, thank you for your every shared moment. To the coaches and the coaching staff, your guidance and trust led me to achieve my best version. To the management, employees, and all the fans, your unwavering support gave us strength to go far. Today, I close this chapter with gratitude in my heart and the certainty that I will always carry these colours with me wherever I go. This is not a final farewell, but to see you later filled with hope. See you in the future, Rangers. I will always be ready to be there for my friends in Royal Blue." Bring him home, Chris.
Well, that's very touching. A tear-jerking way to start your morning. It's a shame that Alfie didn't actually speak to the press at all during his time here, because by sounds of it, he's quite an eloquent guy and has got some nice things to say about us. I think it's a nice message. I'm sure the fans will wish him well. It was obviously, we spoke about Morelos so much last season and over the course of summer. It was time to move on. It was time for it to come to an end, for a fresh start for all parties. I think it was a shame the way that it did come to an end, but I certainly don't hold any hard feelings towards him. He upset us at times, he disappointed us at times, infuriated others at times. But I say for what he did for the club over those seasons, during the 55 season, some of the European goals that he scored, some of the performances that he put in, he's got his own unique place in Rangers history. And if he had been at his very best on Sunday, Rangers would have won that Old Firm game.
Oh, I said this at the time. I'd have taken him in his current, with no pre-season, a summer of enjoying himself, Chris, ahead of what we had on Saturday. I don't think we've quite replaced Alfredo yet with what we've witnessed so far with the strikers that have been brought in. Gaz Jones says the Brazilian league will suit Alfie. It's mental over there. Yeah, it'll be intriguing to see how he gets on. As I mentioned, Santos struggling, I think, in the Brazilian league. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he performs for a club. Big expectations over there as well. So hopefully he does well. I'm sure that most will wish him all the best with his new club. Right, folks, I think that'll do us there. Just a reminder that we have the new app that has been launched. You can download it wherever you get your apps, whether on Apple or Android. And we've also got a new sale on to coincide with the launch of the app, just £12 for 12 months worth of content over on the Rangers Review. Head over to rangersreview.co.uk/subscribe to sign up. And Chris, as we touched on earlier, is the new recruit. He signed a permanent deal with us, so you can expect more articles from him on the site and more appearances on the morning briefing. We'll be back tomorrow, myself and Joshua. But until then, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Bye for now.